Then you go to HBO, you make a pilot, which they did not run. Didn't come out good.
No.
Why?
We've never done this before.
Yeah. So we had messed up the most kind of obvious storytelling possibilities.
Wow. Can you imagine being that retarded? Bah. Wow. So here we are, at end of an era. 7 solid years of great television for it to just shit the bed. It's gonna be hard to adequately and encapsulate everything that went wrong with the season in a short amount of time. And we had bad character development, bad pacing, and that goddamn unbelievable fucking scorpion shot. You bitch, you goddamn bitches. We really fucked up this season. You know that? You fucking... All right, let's go episode by episode, really nitpicking this and trying to keep it, like I said, short, because this is all just a plug for my Twitch channel, .tv/DeathlyNotButter. Check me out. Episode 1, Winterfell. So this episode is basically just a giant happy reunion. Everyone's like, hey, long time no see, where have you been, man? But, you know, Bran sitting and can't dwell on reunions, don't have time for that. We only have 6 episodes to get through everything. There wasn't anything that was truly horrible about this episode. There just wasn't anything really great. Dany, ooh man, you kind of see the darkness in her a little bit. She tells Sam that his whole family was executed because they refused to bend the knee. What are you gonna do about it, bud? And poor Sam is like, he's trying so hard to not cry and break down in front of her, but also be thankful at the same time. I really enjoyed the scene in a very sick sort of way. I really like the atmosphere at the end of this episode because it was very tense, had a very horror type aspect to it, and that meat wheel at the very end, fantastic. Really set, well, it would have set the tone for the whole half of the season if they hadn't messed it up so bad. Okay, enough of the good stuff. Time for the bad stuff of this episode. Dany and everyone else finding out that Viserion, who the fuck I can't pronounce these dragon names, I'm sorry. Viserion. Wow, okay, we're back, boys. Viserion was turned into a freaking ice dragon, and everyone's like, yeah, that's a thing. Even Dany, she didn't care. And this dragon, or dragons actually, are supposed to be her children, and she just didn't care. She didn't seem like not emotionally impacted by it. Nothing. No one in the room, including Dany, still horrified at this aspect of Viserion being an ice dragon. I would be a little terrified. She is starting to meet her match here. And then Jon finding out who his real father was very quick. Jon was like, Ned was me father. And Sam was like, he was a father, but he ain't your daddy. And Jon was like, ah, shit, bro. You're right. Believed it way too quickly, in my opinion. You should have at least somewhat gave a little bit more resistance to this idea. I mean, this is a bombshell of a fact here. And he just kind of bought it, and we went on to the second episode. Episode 2, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I really like this episode, mainly because everyone is saying goodbye and preparing the audience for the fact that a lot of the main characters are going to die next episode. But we all know that does not happen. Emilia Clarke did a really good job showing how lonely her character should feel at this time. I mean, everyone's celebrating, or not really celebrating, but yeah, kind of celebrating the fact that they're all back together, but also saying goodbye, and this will be like the last time they'll see each other. And she really doesn't have anyone that close. She has the Unsullied and the Dothraki, but they're not really friends per se. They're just soldiers to her. There's no personal connection, there's nothing. She tries to get close with Jon every now and then, but Jon, after finding out who his parents are, he really isn't about the incest life anymore. Brienne getting knighted by Jaime was a highlight of this episode, and it was a really nice moment. I mean, what else is there to say about it? Overall, this episode was just a very bittersweet moment with some wholesome moments sprinkled into it. Episode 3, The Long Night. This is where everything falls apart. Mainly because it's just a bunch of tiny stuff that really added up in the end. I mean, the first big mistake in this episode was sending the Dothraki out to the Nightwalkers to kill him. But you know, they're White Walkers. They're gonna slaughter them. So of course you see all the Dothraki die with their flaming swords, and they're gone. So what was the purpose? I mean, they should have known this was gonna happen. So what was the point? I'll tell you the point though. The point was to get that sweet ass visual. It's nonsense in the grand scheme of things. I mean, when you take all these characters who have like this military experience and they do something stupid like that, it doesn't make sense. Where in the hell did Bran go? He did his little mind thing with the crows and flew around, and it added nothing to the story. It gave the audience a really sweet ass cinematic view of the battle, but that was it. Oh, and why don't we just give every major character the thickest plot armor in the history of television for this? Even though Ser Jorah dies, he runs through everything unscathed until the very end. And even at the very end, he's getting hacked and slashed by the White Walk, and he's still standing until the very last moment. Same thing with Jon. He's taking on the ice dragon, and it's breathing fire at him. No, he's not dying. Well, he's not even injured. He's fine. He's just still rocking whatever the way. Who takes on a dragon doesn't even get injured? That doesn't make sense. He should have, I mean, at the very least, gotten his arm taken off or something. The fact that all these main characters survive this battle really takes away from the emotional weight the second episode established. All those characters were saying goodbye, but we never actually see them say goodbye. And you'd think Sansa and Tyrion would be safe in the crypt in case any of those dead were to rise again. But if you remember in the 7th season, they captured a White Walker, kept it in the wooden box, and it couldn't break out. But all of a sudden, they can break out of stone crypts. God damn it. And speaking of remembering things, remember how in season 1, episode 1, Scene 1, the White Walkers were pretty much established that they were going to end mankind. Well, boys, there was no need to worry about that whatsoever. All within one episode. Wiped out. Completely wiped out, problem solved, nothing. Winter came and went and ended in Winterfell. I mean, I thought the whole point of the show was to show how, you know, people would fight over the stupidest thing, like who rules over the 7 kingdoms, while this very solvable, I guess, end of mankind army is coming. Like, it was pretty much established that, you know, mankind should get together and go after this man, and just mankind should actually get along, work together, go after a common cause. Made sense. But no, that is not what was going to happen this season. Instead, we're going to make Cersei the main bad guy, the main villain. Like, who gives a shit who sits on the throne? Right, don't even get started, Arya. She has this amazing ability to be really good at whatever she needs to be at that moment. She comes out of darkness, kills the Night King just in time before Dany gets killed. Kills the Night King just in time before Jon gets killed. Kills the Night King just in time before Bran. Like, what the shit? The show was better than this. It was better than that. There was no last minute, oh, look at this. Luckily the hero was there to save the day bullshit. The consequences that happened in this show happened for a reason, and now it doesn't seem like there's any consequence at all. Whatever Bran went through, since season 1, episode 1, what he went through then till now was all to tell Arya about a knife that would kill the Night King. That is his whole story right there. Everything that he went through was because of this moment. So thank you, D&D, for ruining the foundation you built this show on. You goddamn bitches. You bitches. 7 years. You built up a really good show, and you ruined it in one episode. Episode 4, The Last of the Starks. So Jon is all like, hey fam, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm a Targaryen. How do you feel about that? But we don't actually see how they feel about that because the scene is snapped out of existence. It's not there. We have theorized about this moment for such a long time, and we got nothing out of it. We got no emotional response from Arya, Sansa, and, well, Bran, he's about emotionally dead as his legs. Another thing that really just annoyed me about this episode was Bronn just walking right into Winterfell, right into the room where Jaime and Tyrion were drinking, completely unnoticed. And this whole scene just felt off from everything. Like Jaime and Tyrion were sitting there drinking wine, and they're like, "Hey man, what are you doing with that crossbow up in here? Like, what's going on?" Bronn's like, "Make a deal with you. I don't kill you, you give me a bunch of shit." And they're like, "Hey, sounds great to us, don't kill us." And he leaves. That is that scene. And according to Dany and her military strategist, it's completely okay to starve a people, but we must not kill them. Like, they actually thought it would be a morally better way to cut off the people of King's Landing from food. You can't have it both ways, guys. You can't sit there and be like, well, you can't just go and cut their heads off just to get to Cersei. Can't do it. But we can starve them and turn them against Cersei. Absolutely not. She was built up to be this person for the people, but here she is either talking about starving them or slaughtering them all. And then another controversial scene that is pretty much widely recognized by now is Captain Dipshit shooting down one of her dragons with 3 shots in a row on a ship, moving. He actually gets those shots without being seen by Dany on her fucking dragon. How do you not see this fleet in the air over a tiny, tiny island? Oh, and speaking of military strategy, it is not wise to show up at the gates of King's Landing with only half of your army, because the other half is at the bottom of the sea, 1 dragon, and your hand. Not a wise idea. You all get slaughtered really fucking quick, because the entire King's Guard is there, armed and ready to go. But what's that? What's that? What's that? Cersei, the one who wants them all dead, is not gonna fucking kill him. You bitch, you goddamn bitch. Should have just killed them. Should have just killed them. Episode 5, The Bells. So we got Dany looking about as depressed as I was after finishing this season, which is both equally great and unfortunate because this was probably the best part about this episode. I mean, the makeup department and her acting both nailed the look of someone completely shattered and broken. I did find it quite amazing how all of Cersei's army didn't have a single bow and arrow to spare. The entire North army was just right there on the horizon, within arrow shot distance, and not a single arrow was fired upon them. Instead, they waited and get clobbered by a fucking dragon. And speaking of that goddamn fucking dragon, takes out the entire Iron Fleet without a scratch, without a worry even. I mean, it just comes in and annihilates every ship without a problem. And then, it goes on and destroys all the scorpions upon the wall of King's Landing. It just, how do you show Dany's dragon getting shot out of midair 3 times in a row and then come back with this horse shit? I mean, why did they even bother making this Iron Fleet this unbeatable force that can kill anything within its sights without a problem? And then finally, we get to the most controversial moment, I will say, of this whole season. Because at the start of the season, Dany was all like, I am for the people. I am here to save you northern people from this white army. And then I'm going to go to kill this tyrant and save all of Westeros. But first, watch me commit some genocide. Burns the whole fucking city to the ground. Burns it all. Okay, I get it. I really understand what the writers were trying to do. I mean, she's the Mad Queen, just like her father. But unfortunately, they didn't develop that character aspect at all. Instead, she just comes off as a cruel bitch with a dragon that just annihilates a whole people for simply existing. And to make matters even worse, they established that she really wants to get revenge on Cersei, and she could just flown to the Red Keep and killed her. Could have done that, but didn't. She just had, you goddamn bitch, you bitch. What is wrong with you? And what was the point of Arya being there? I honestly thought she'd be the one that would kill Cersei, but it didn't happen. Instead, she was just there to give us a sweet, sweet cinematic view of Dany killing people. That was it. That was all she was there for. She did nothing. Episode 6, The Iron Throne. We made it, boys. We made it to the end here. This would finally wrap up the shit show the show has been. And we can also cool it with the Nazi symbolism here. I mean, shit, we already saw Dany burn down entire people just for existing. But oh my god, did we get that sweet, sweet shot of Dany and her dragon behind her? Ooh wee, that was cool. I mean, it was about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face, but damn, man, if I would have taken that shot. I mean, that was a really cool shot to see. And Jon does what Jon does best. He takes on the threat of humanity and kills Dany. And then Drogon was like, fuck this throne in particular. I honestly think it would have been better if Jon died at that moment. I can kind of see that he is a Targaryen, so maybe that's why they chose not to have the dragon kill him. I can buy that. I just think it would have been better to see Jon burn. So believe it or not, I actually liked the beginning of this episode because of the tone. The tone was dark. It was like this very apocalyptic. I cannot say apocalyptic. Am I fucking retarded? Apocalyptic. Very apocalyptic. Very end of the world's feeling. But then after Jon kills Dany, the tone shifts dramatically into this more brighter, optimistic feel where they're having very quick elections, getting people put where they need to go, and just moving very quickly. Oh, and remember Bronn, that wishy-washy fuck who plays both sides so he always wins? Well, he becomes the master of coin, just on every moral standpoint of the characters. This should not have happened at all. It doesn't make the slightest bit of sense to have this guy be in this much power. And then they just really couldn't help themselves. They had to mention A Song of Ice and Fire in the show, as a book in the show. God damn it. I especially found it funny how Dany broke the wheel, and you know, the king has two of them. Bran the Broken. Come on. Like, what? I don't know. Bran the Unbreakable. Bran the Prophet. Because he's the third-eyed raven that never gets brought up ever again. Don't need to worry about that three-eyed raven nonsense. That was just silly things. And speaking of being a prophet, god damn it, he is just like, why do you think I came all this way? Holy shit. This dude, this guy, can't just drop some sinister shit like that. I mean, damn. He is basically saying he watched his sister get raped and watched millions of people get burned alive just so he can have the crown. What the fuck? How, god damn it, you goddamn bitches. Sansa succeeds from the Seven Kingdoms. What's that to stop from the other kingdoms wanting the same thing? It's called Civil War for a reason. This will never end. It will never end. The wheel is still there. In fact, it's there times two. So there you have it. A very short but concise list of what went wrong with this season. Now, don't get me wrong here. There were some things I really liked. Like, the battle scenes were terrifically well done. Set designs, amazing. Music, are you fucking kidding me? Awesome. Acting, oh man, acting, it was good. Unfortunately, what they were given to act with was dog shit. I agree with like 90% of what is going on in this season. 90% agree. However, it's just like they filmed and wrote bulletin points and just met those points and called it a day. They had to have stretched out some of these bulletin points. I mean, how great would it have been to see Dany really go deep into madness? It would have justified her killing millions of people, I guess, if that's even the thing. It would have justified that much more. It would have been great to see Jon, the emotional impact his family had after telling them he was a Targaryen. But we don't get that. It just, stuff like that doesn't make sense. And then Jon even being a Targaryen, what was the point? Nothing happened. Him telling his family had no impact on the story whatsoever. I guess in order for this to be a review instead of a rant, I need to give it a rating. And I would rate this series finale, this season finale, a crown fit for a king out of 10. So I guess that just about does it for this rant/review. If you liked it, please consider subscribing. Also, you can check me out live right now, twitch.tv/deadlynutterbutter. I'll see you all there.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave with me. Conversation and